got?
Black power.
Is that a crime?
No.
Is black power a crime?
No.
Is loving yourself a crime?
No.
Is taking care of your people a crime?
No.
Is feeding the people a crime?
No.
Is patrolling your community a crime?
No.
With these answers, New Era Detroit would like to know, why is it that the Detroit police is constantly harassing us when all we are doing is out here doing the most that we can with the limited resources that we have to protect our communities and bring our communities back to life. Now, New Era Detroit started in 2014, and since then to 2016, we have become, because of hard work, 7 days a week, one of the fastest growing young black organizations in this country. We do that by getting up and getting out here every single day and putting our boots on the ground, figuring out tangible solutions to our problems in our communities. Is New Era Detroit a hate group?
No.
Absolutely not. We're sick of the narrative that just because we love each other and we love to have our fists up and we love wearing all black and we love saying all power to the people and we love saying that we have power in black, just because we love doing these things, that don't make us a hate group. That don't make us not dislike any other group. That just means that we're focusing on our people and ourselves. That's just like a whole block of houses lined up, and you got one house on the block burning. We gonna concentrate on that one burning house on the block. That's what all power to the people mean, and black power, and us being out here with our right fist up in the air, and us being proud of who we are, because that's not the community and the environment that we grew up in. Our environment wasn't built in love. I didn't have young black organizations when I was young telling me to be proud about myself. I didn't see a collective group of black people coming through my neighborhood, knocking on my door, shaking my hand, playing basketball, playing football, barbecuing, giving out free food, doing school programs, feeding the people. These are things that New Era Detroit does on a weekly basis. Weekly basis. We got a lot of crazy things going on around this country involving the police and the community, which has always been a problem. This is not a new problem, police and community. It's not new. We all know what the police was originally put here for. We understand the blueprint for policing. The blueprint for policing is to make sure you catch them slaves and you keep them niggas in check. And it's unfortunate now that we have some police officers continuing to follow that exact same blueprint. We see what's going on down in Baton Rouge. We seen what went on in New York, in St. Louis, all over the country. The blatant disrespect for black people and black communities when it comes to law enforcement. We talk about policing and being a police officer to a community. Well, I'll be on both sides of this new Detroit. See, I go downtown and I see a different form of policing. I see police officers smiling outside of their patrol cars, directing traffic, interacting with the community, nodding, shaking hands, really riding around patrolling. That's not what we see in our communities. What we see in our communities is a predator and prey mentality. Because only time you see police in the community is when they duck off preying on you. No, we do not see police officers outside of their vehicles, going down the street, interacting with the community. We don't see that. We see police officers preying on our people, giving out unnecessary tickets every single day. I've been in court recently the past couple of months, more than I've been to court in my entire life. My entire life. It took me to step into activism and step out here for my people to develop a strange record over the past 3 or 4 months dealing with the Detroit police. Before I get into the major event, I'd like to just touch on a few other things. On Mother's Day, we threw a Mother's Day barbecue. This was one of the first times that it was just completely out of hand in terms of the police and the way that they treat and the way that they deal with us. Now, these police officers know who we are. We out in the community 7 days of the week. If you don't know who we are, you're not doing your job. Right. Because we out here. So for you to say that you don't know who New Air Detroit is and you're a police officer in the city of Detroit, you're not doing your job. We were out, we threw a barbecue, a peaceful, beautiful barbecue on Mother's Day. Because we work so hard for our communities. Me, myself, personally, I don't get the privilege of seeing my mother, even though she stays here in the city of Detroit. Because I'm working so hard in the community, I don't get the privilege of seeing my mom on a weekly basis. So we threw a barbecue for all the people within our organization who's out here putting in work all the time so that we can have some time with our families and most particular our mothers. During this day, we had a truck that was parked on the grass because we were removing tables from this barbecue. We had an officer pull up. Instead of saying, which would typically be, look, could you move the truck off the grass? What y'all doing? You're moving tables. Okay, fine, no problem. It was, who trucks are these? Get them up. Well, let me see y'all license. Give me your license and registration. As he whipped up on the grass fast enough, and this is a park. Now we talk about, we supposed to be out here protecting the people, and we got this guy driving erratically through a park where his kids playing to see us about having a truck on the grass to where you blatantly see that we're removing furniture from a picnic, a barbecue. So this officer took it upon himself. We complied. And it's sad because when somebody come at you like that, and I'm gonna speak for myself right now, when somebody come at you like that with a form of straight disrespect, with a form of, I got this uniform on, you gonna honor me, boy, that type of mentality doesn't sit well. So even though I'm keeping my composure, I pull off the grass, he follows me off the grass, blocks me off, gets out of his squad car with the billy club. This is another black man. This is not a white police officer. This is another black man. We're not posting as not a single threat. This is another black man who gets out of his squad car with a billy club because he's under influence that I was about to flee the scene, but he has my license and you're at my barbecue with all of my people. After that, I asked him. I'm a man, I can be truthful. I said, what you gonna do with that? I said, you gonna use it? You gonna use it? And I got beside myself. I got to going on this police officer. I did. I called him a coon. Because that's what he was doing. You know?
That's right.
That's what he was doing. This is Mother's Day, and mind you, this day, this weekend, was marked the second deadliest weekend in the city of Detroit. He took it upon himself after I asked him, is you gonna use that stick on me to call for backup? Because all of a sudden, because God blessed me to be 6'3", big black man, now I'm always a threat. 30 police cars swarmed this scene in a matter of seconds. Completely ruins our Mother's Day barbecue, shuts us down, writes everybody all type of tickets up under the seat, and leaves. Completely unacceptable. I can go to another event to where I'm sitting in traffic in the beautiful downtown Detroit, where police officers are outside of their squad cars, policing the community, and a young woman pulls to the side of me. She say, "Are you Zeek with New Era Detroit? We're in traffic. No cars are going nowhere because it's traffic." She pulls on the side of me and says, "You Zeek with New Era Detroit? I absolutely love what you guys are doing in the community. Very respectful, very honorable." This police officer heard Zeek from New Era Detroit, immediately points at me, tells me to pull over. I didn't do nothing wrong. I'm pull over. What you want? What's the problem? You holding up traffic. I say, "Officer, we're in traffic now. Where am I going?" Wrote me a ticket for holding up traffic. And here's the catch: driving with one arm. I have a ticket that I'm going to court for this Friday for holding up traffic, in traffic, and driving with one hand. One hand driving is what's wrote on my ticket. One hand driving.
Go to registration, tell them about what happened.
Is that not harassment? Has anyone out here been pulled over for driving with one hand? Did anybody out here know that was even a crime? No. But I wrote a ticket for driving with one hand. We're out at the voters registration, registering our community to vote because we're heavily involved politically this year. Very heavily involved. We're stepping up to, that's another one of our programs, is our Vote 15K. To where we're getting 15,000 people to pledge their votes to New Era Detroit. And with pledging their votes to New Era Detroit, we're not only having people pledge, but we're getting people to register to vote. Period. We're going to be a force in this election, in every election from here on out. So we're on 7 Mile and Southfield, just registering people to vote. We got our poster boards up, and everybody's having a good time. People coming over to register. All of a sudden, police come out of nowhere. Y'all gotta move. Y'all can't do this. Y'all gotta move. For no reason. Once again, black police officers harassing us. We're not out here selling drugs. We're not over here running a criminal enterprise. They treating us, it feels like we getting this mob type treatment. Like we're doing something, like we're running an illegal enterprise. And that's not the case. Time and time again, harassment. And that leads to the day, and the reason that we out here today. If you look around, we feel real comfortable out here in this community. Why? Because we've been out here in this community for the past 6 months, patrolling this community here at Noble Elementary and Flagship across the freeway. We walk kids to and from school to make sure that these kids are safe getting to school and getting from school. Because the one thing that we're about is the future in our youth. New Era Detroit do not play when it comes to these babies. So we put a program together to where we patrol our communities 5 days a week, 9 hours a day. Before we did this, and trying to show some respect and camaraderie, we set up a meeting with the chief of police. I'm sitting at a table with the chief of police, and I'm telling them about the program, just as I'm telling everybody out here. We want to get this program going over here in this community. We trying to be out here 5 days a week, 9 hours a day. We will be patrolling these communities. We will have green patrol lights while patrolling these communities. What did we get out of that meeting? Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. We love what you guys are doing. In fact, we love the green light so much that we love the green light so much because we have our own green light initiative. I don't know how many people are clear and understand the green light gas stations. There's green lights on gas stations and on liquor stores. That's DPD's thing. So the chief was excited about it because the lights kind of coexist with each other. That wasn't a problem with us. We picked green lights because we didn't want red or blue, of course. And we didn't want to be considered the typical neighborhood watch with the typical yellow lights. So we went green. We didn't know nothing about DPD's lights at the time. But to have that okay by the chief himself, which I was thinking that was as good as gold, and we were doing the right thing, right? We doing the right thing. We sitting down with the chief of police. We trying to have a certain level of transparency because we do, and we did feel at that time that Detroit wasn't a Ferguson and it wasn't a Baton Rouge. We was trying to build with the police officers because the majority of the police are black and young black men. So we knew for sure that we would have a better relationship involving our police than a lot of these other cities. So he okays it. We get the police to even come out. It even went a step further. They came out to the first orientation of the Streets is Watching program. So not only did we have a sit down with the chief and with the staff, they sent a representative out and they came to the first orientation of the Streets is Watching program. Now, if all of this is going on, the last thing that I'm thinking about is being harassed while being out here in the community, patrolling the communities. But time and time again, we had police officers that was not aware about New Era Detroit, was not aware about the green lights, and took it upon themselves to harass members of our organization while being out patrolling the community. I'm talking about, we just heard from Brother Jamalcolm. This brother could be doing anything else in the world. He got a family, a newborn baby, and he's out every single night, sometimes with his family, patrolling the community. And he's always on the short end of the stick when it comes to the harassment. So he gets pulled over that night. Why did he get pulled over? Not for a broken tail light, not for bad plates, not for none of these things. He gets pulled over 6 months into our program. That's 6 months. We smart people out here. 6 months into our program for having flashing green lights that we have had out in this community for 6 months. For 6 months. So we get that phone call. I reached out to, the police department at the time. I reached out to them just to get a clarification. Why is it that we're continuously being harassed in a community where we're out here helping people? I get to the scene. They had Brother Jamalcolm in the squad car. I'm frustrated. We frustrated. We are tired. You harassing people, helping the community? I'm a registered CPL carrier. I went to class. I know my gun laws. I practice shooting. I practice my Second Amendment, as everyone out here should.
That's right.
It is your right to bear arms. Right now, my right to bear arms is being violated. They took my weapon that night. I have not seen my gun. I have not been able to get my gun back. We weren't charged with anything. We were illegally detained. And they have my weapon illegally. And that, with the icing on the cake in all of this, is the abuse. Because we can kind of get past everything else. I can get past the constant harassment because that means we doing something right at this point. But what I cannot get past is the abuse on strong black sisters that put they all and to our people in our communities every single day, when half the black men in the community is at home playing video games, watching the game, checking up on Cam Newton stats, trying to see who getting traded where. We got sisters out in the community at night patrolling. And the abuse that comes with that is completely unacceptable. Detroit is not Baton Rouge. Detroit is not St. Louis. Detroit is not the rest of these cities. You want to know why? Because we will not tolerate it. The people will not tolerate the harassment. The people will not tolerate the disrespect. Just because you have a badge, that don't give you a right to practice training day tactics. You have a badge, you show me respect. I'll comply, you show respect.
Thank you.
I am no threat. I am no criminal. When you see all these beautiful black people with these N.E.D shirts on, those are not targets. We are people in this community that's stepping up for our community and stepping up for our people in a time to where we need it most. We refuse to be the rest of these cities who just allow these certain things to happen. We will not allow that type of policing to go on in the city of Detroit. It will not be allowed. The community will stand, the community will speak up. But to think that Detroit is so far removed from a lot of these other cities, when these people are practicing these tactics, is a false belief. It's a false belief. We one traffic stop away from being one of these cities. If we don't step up and say something about it, see, what this press conference is for is to be proactionary. Fortunately, no one died in these incidents. So we're not out here because someone has lost their life to police brutality in the city of Detroit. But we're out here because others have lost their life dealing with police brutality across the country. And we understand that we cannot be these cities. We understand that we have to hold ourselves accountable as well as our police force accountable for doing their job. Their job should not be out harassing activists who putting their all on the line for our people in our communities. We are not criminals. We are not criminals. We're not the mob. We're not the mafia. We are New Era Detroit, a pro-black and proud organization.
Amen.
Who is out for the betterment of our people. And we will see the betterment of our people because we work very diligent every single day so that that can happen. In closing, I would like to say that we have to come together. And if it's a situation to where the police officers don't want the community to look at them as if the police are bad and all police are bad,